Now, with more on how President Trump's meeting with Israel compared to other administrations' relationship with that nation, we bring in Harvard Law Professor Alan Dershowitz. Obama and good to see you, Alan, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in. So President Obama and Netanyahu's relationship, probably the worst ever between these two countries. Do you think that the president is doing a decent reset here?
I do. I think he did a very good job in Saudi Arabia. I think that when he came to Israel, he immediately said that American policy is never, ever to allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons. Unlike the Obama's policy, maybe 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, we'll get another North Korea, but much, much worse. So I take the president at his word and hope that he will never allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons and become another North Korea.
You know, when President Trump has criticized Saudi Arabia in the past before he became president. And today he said, we're here not to lecture you. We must seek partners, not perfection. He's now being called out for de-emphasizing human rights in Saudi Arabia. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's always a matter of degree. Realpolitik often trumps human rights, and we have to pick our battles. If we're talking about the kind of genocides that occurred in Cambodia and Rwanda and Darfur, you can't ever ignore those. If we're talking about kind of cultural issues of the kind that exist in Saudi Arabia, which we disagree with, fundamentally disagree with, there's a role for balancing. And one hopes that engaging with Saudi Arabia may help push them in the right direction. It's going to take a long time.
You know, this question, too, what came up when President Obama went to Cuba, and, you know, he didn't criticize Cuba's human rights record there when he was doing the wave at a baseball game with the, leader of Cuba.
Oh, of course. And you take, the absurd boycott, divestment, sanction activities that are directed against Israel. The people who want to do it, they want to do more business with Cuba, more business with China. They only focus on Israel, never focus on the human rights records of the most abysmal human rights offenders. So this is hypocrisy on the left even more than on the right.
You know, Alan, President Trump says the U.S. will, quote, never, ever let Iran obtain a nuclear weapon. So this is a 180 from President Obama, right, as you were pointing out?
Absolutely. And what has to happen now is Congress has to pass a law saying Iran will never be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. That's the way we interpret the deal. And the president is authorized to take whatever action is necessary to prevent another North Korea. Because if you think North Korea is bad, multiply that by 100, and you'll get Iran with nuclear weapons.
So, what also is happening, too, is it came up with the West Bank settlements, of course. Benjamin Netanyahu blasted the UN and President Obama over the West Bank settlements.
And me too. I blasted the UN. It was an outrageous. You know what it said, that UN resolution? That the Western Wall, the Hebrew University, Hadassah Hospital, the Jewish Quarter are all illegally occupied territories. It was absurd. It's nonsense.
Why is it absurd?
Because what happened was the UN set aside various places to be international, including Bethlehem and Jerusalem. Jordan violated that by attacking Israel in a genocidal war. Then they attacked him again in '67. Israel recaptured it and liberated Jerusalem. The idea that what Israel liberated is illegally occupied territory, I don't believe Obama believes that. I don't believe Kerry believes that. And yet they did not veto that horrible UN resolution.
Obama let that UN resolution stand.
That's right.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Now, President Trump is the first president to visit the Western Wall. How is this break viewed, do you think? How will it be viewed throughout the world?
I think positively. He struck a compromise. Obviously, it would have been, I think, better and stronger had he gone there with either the president of Israel or the prime minister of Israel, but he didn't. He went there with his wife and his son-in-law. He sent a powerful message by going to the Western Wall. But I think more can be done. I hope that before his term ends, we will see the Embassy of the United States and all the embassies in the world move to Israel's undivided capital, Jerusalem. Why should Israel's capital not be recognized? And so I think we'll be making progress. I also think that he has the potential to make a deal. It won't be a complete deal first, but I think there'll be steps along the way to bringing the Israelis and the Palestinians closer together.
Do you think this trip did more toward advancing unification in terms of getting peace in the region?
I do. I think so. I think both the Israelis and the Palestinians want Trump on their side. And I think Trump is in a particularly good position now to make them both make the kinds of painful compromises that Netanyahu has said everybody has to make, but that so far we haven't heard from Abbas. If President Trump is a real deal maker, he'll be able to make the Palestinians make the kinds of concessions that they will have to make in order to earn themselves a state. Up to now, they didn't earn it. They rejected statehood in 2001 when Clinton offered it. They rejected it in 2008 when it was offered to them by Olmert. They did nothing when Sharon evacuated the Gaza. It's about time for the Palestinians to come forward and do the right thing.